Well, let's give a round of applause to Richard Bridges as he comes back up to the stage. Richard's going to be our moderator for this panel.
What's up, guys? Thank you.
Try that again.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about.
Richard needs a lot of love. He needs to feel like everyone loves him right now. So welcome to Richard Bridges to the stage.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, so I get to switch hats a little bit this afternoon. I get to be the moderator for our next panel. I'm very excited about that because this one is full of top producers. We heard from some great team leaders in our last panel, lots of different interesting takes. I loved that they didn't all agree, right? That's the great thing about real estate is we can have different opinions, we can run our businesses how we see fit and still be very successful. And without a shadow of a doubt, this next group of individuals is quite successful. So starting us out strong, we have John Coleman with the Jason Martin Group. With accolades ranging from Rising Star in the DC Real Producers magazine to being recognized as one of the area's top agents you want on your side by the Washingtonian magazine. John brings his passion for real estate to the stage, and I couldn't be more excited to welcome him. Come on up here, John. All right, guys. Number two, I'm very excited about because prior to today, I have known this next panelist very, very well. I have the privilege of calling her friend. She may disagree, but I love her to death. Jen Mack, an agent advocate and area leader. Jennifer runs Jennifer Mack Properties, a local team that routinely sells around $60 million a year or more. She's a master networker and is trusted across the country by her extensive agent partner network. If you get in any Facebook group or forum, you'll see Jen's name pop up all the time when referrals are requested, and that's because she's just a stellar agent all around. Super excited to have her today. Jennifer. Oh. Yay. She whispered, she's my friend. Awesome. All right, third up here. The next gentleman coming to the stage probably doesn't need much of an introduction. He's been in the industry for countless years. Casey Samson runs the Casey Samson team. It's the #1 medium team in Virginia, according to the Wall Street Journal. They're listed in Real Trends as the top 0.05% of all agents in the nation. He's a Vienna native and specialist, former coach, and Casey's been an industry icon for decades. Very lucky to have him here today on the panel. Casey Samson, everyone. Welcome. All right, fourth up here. Our next presenter, I think I'm his friend. Hopefully he's my friend too. I love this guy. Sean, I've known for years and years. I'm super excited when I found out he was going to be one of our panelists. Sean Ragen is a triple threat, an agent specializing as a team leader, sales expert, and an investor extraordinaire. Sean has built a thriving brand with Dutko Ragen Homes and Investments with millions of dollars in profitable investment sales under his belt. He has an expert understanding of real estate inside and out. Please welcome Sean Ragen to the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Love it. I'm hyped. Guys, I'm super excited because we got one more presenter. Our last panelist, certainly not least, many of you know who she is. Her reputation is across our industry, but it came along very recently. Her name is Nikki Lagouros. Nikki's a distinguished Reston top-selling agent. She's consistently been recognized in Real Trends as a top 10 agent for outstanding production since 2020. Her predictable production while working without a large team demonstrates her hard work, her ethic, and her ability to get deals done. Super excited to have Nikki and her take today on the panel. Let's welcome Nikki Lagouros to the stage. There we go. All right. Thanks, guys. Oh, appreciate you looking out for my well-being. All right, first question today. I would say this year's been a little wild. Would you guys agree? Yeah. It's been a little bit different. For some of us, first time we've been through it. For others, not the first time. I'm interested to hear your take on what you're doing different in your business this year than you did last year. You want to go first, John? All right.
So One of the things that I implemented a little bit more this year was going some short form content on Instagram and YouTube and on TikTok. And that was purposeful coming into my business plan for 2023 because I had done YouTube before and I wanted to figure out a way to drive more people to that. So then I went to a conference down in Houston, and in that conference I was surrounded by a bunch of people that was their main initiative. So surrounding myself around people that had that concentrated on, and took from there and came back. And my goal coming out of that conference was to grow my Instagram to like 2,000 people. And we sit here since April and it's now up to 28,000 people. So that's what I've done.
Oh, wow. That's outstanding. All right. Who else? What are you doing different this year than you did last year?
Go ahead, Nikki.
So for me, I'm very heavy into online lead spend. So that was always the focus of my business. So kind of getting back to the basics of getting into my CRM and touching those people. I hired an ISA to make the phone calls and to make sure that we're pulling all the leads we can out of the platform that is, free essentially, versus just relying so heavy on that Zillow spend that's been pretty much the pillar of our business.
Awesome. So mixing up that prospecting. I like it.
Well, we've got to come to Jesus meetings with our sellers. We've got to be realistic about where we price these houses and how we market them and what their expectations are. So we've had to readjust the expectations. We've had to really expand the pricing models to show them, I know the Millers sold their house at 1.3, but now we're at 1.1. So it's educating the sellers on where it was and where it is and where we have to be in order to get that sold. And I run I run weekly updates, and more homes are withdrawing unsold than are going pending every week. So, the people that are selling houses right now aren't selling because they want to, they're selling because they need to. Death, divorce, downsizing, disaster, they've lost their job. So, I kind of look at that and go, you got to be kidding me. More people are withdrawing only because people just aren't getting realistic and saying, hey, it's not here. It's here. And if you want to sell it, we got to get down here. So the models that I've been doing to educate the sellers have advanced quite a bit.
I can go next. So, transactions are down about 25% across our area. But that still means that 75% of what we did last year, people are still having transactions. So I cringe a little bit when I hear realtors saying no one wants to sell and no one wants to buy. I think it's our job to figure out, and you alluded to it, who is selling and who is buying. So what I've done different is gotten very strategic on researching who is selling and who is buying and how can I approach those people. Because right now, it's true. My typical avatar, move up buyers, whatever, they don't want to sell and buy right now. And so why am I going to beat my head against the wall trying to convince them to do something that very well may not make sense for them, rather than going after the people who do need to transact right now. So I thought long and hard about it, made a list. I do a ton of market research. Every single time I get on the phone with another agent or a lender or title, I say, who are your last clients coming from? Who are these people? Talk to me about their circumstances. And I make sure that I'm strategically targeting them. So I'm still calling my clients, but instead of asking them to buy or sell, I'm saying, hey, what's up with your parents? What's up with your aunt and uncle? Whatever. A lot of people do need to transact. It's just we have to find out who they are and then be willing to work with different clients than what we're used to. So some of us might be spoiled with a high average price point, and maybe this year we're doing a bunch of $200,000-$300,000 condo listings. Fine. I mean, business is business. I'm happy for it. So just be willing to work in a different way than what you're used to working, and the business will still come to you.
And it sounds like you're getting better at asking the right questions.
Correct. Yeah, asking the right questions is really, really, really important, because a lot of our clients, they just think that, oh, you sold them a $600,000 townhouse in Springfield. You're the $600,000 Springfield buyer agent. Well, no, I'm not. I do all of these other things, but they don't think of it that way. So we have to make sure they know all the areas we can help them, all the price points we work, the types of homes, the types of people we work with. We've got to make sure they know that. And then all of a sudden you start getting the calls and it's different people than you're used to, but that's okay. This year's been really interesting for me, actually. I've had a lot of fun working with different types of people.
Awesome. Love that. Sean, what's your take?
Yeah, I'd say we're getting back to our core competency. We tried to take a page out of Nikki's book and go heavy in online leads. It got expensive. We didn't have the processes, and it really wasn't who we are. So we're diving back into working with builders, investors, bringing inventory to market. We know we're all operating in a very, constrained supply environment. So we know that if we can produce and bring good listings to market, if you do the right open houses, mailers, prospecting, everything around that, the other leads will come. So that's really where we're spending our time, energy, and money to really double down on that.
So in those kind of, I would say, less traditional prospecting pillars that you guys lean into pretty heavily, have you seen them impacted as much as the other resale markets? What's the opportunity there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've definitely seen them impacted. The hardest thing is being able to find a good deal, right? You always buy yours or your client's profit when you buy the property, and you realize it when you sell. So we're seeing on the back end that if you put out the nicest product in the neighborhood, we're still getting multiple offers. Last week we had 3 offers on a house that got bid up 70 grand, and had 100 groups through. This time last year, I would have expected having 10 plus offers. So we're still seeing them move, but the hardest part is finding the product. But if you can find it and build it, they will come. And that's really what we're seeing.
Love that. Love that. Guys, one other just note real quick. If we can throw the text number up on the screen. I'm sure you guys will have questions as you're listening just from this dynamic panel. If you have questions, please make sure you text to that number what your question is. We'll be monitoring it in the back, and we'll make sure that we make time at the end so you guys can ask your hardest hitting questions. So appreciate that. The next question, I want to start off by just directing it directly to Casey. Technology and tools are incredibly important, I think, in our real estate, in the real estate industry, and in how we're running our businesses. What tools and technology are most important to you and your team, and how is that impacting your business?
Well, first of all, I went to Samson Properties, has a, what is it, HQ to you, and goes over all the technology that they offer. And I mean, there's a ton of technology out there, but technology is not an individual shot. Technology is a cocktail of all sorts of technologies. So everything from MLS to Excel spreadsheets to the geofencing to Google Ads to Google Analytics to all of this stuff. We realized that we have 16 different technologies we use before it even hits the market. Before a home goes on the market, it goes through 16 cocktails of how to find the buyers in McLean when we got a house in Vienna and they're not looking in Vienna, they're in McLean. So how does our geofencing tag them, Google Ads and all that stuff? So the technology is, and that's why I went to the thing at HQ, see what everybody else is doing. Is there any other thing I could put in the cocktail that makes it accelerate even more? So some of the teams that you see up here have their own cocktails, and as we heard, they all do it differently. But when you're talking to a team and you want to go work with a team, you need to find out what kind of cocktail do you have. We don't cold call. We don't get data leads from Zillow and go after them. We have our own way of getting leads. So you just got to kind of talk to the team leaders on how do you guys find your leads? What is your cocktail? How do you get your home sale? How do you do a predictive analysis? How do you do your pricing? What is that whole formula? Because I will tell you, it's like I'm a football coach, current, not former.
Oh.
But if you put a football team out there and you don't have a left guard, you aren't going anywhere. I don't care how great the quarterback is. If you don't have a great left guard, you're not going anywhere. So this cocktail that you have, and somebody said you have to have a passion for everything you do, passion for pricing, passion for marketing, passion for staging, passion for, getting these things out to the people that need to see them. So passion for finding out, are we at the right number before we launch? So I think really technology is just, everybody's got to find their own right cocktail that takes them from soup. And those 16 programs are just before we launch. Whole different suite of technology after we've launched. So the first group they asked, should people go by themselves or they should go with the team? I just don't think a person that goes by themselves can do all those tasks. I think it's too sophisticated now. Real estate has gotten too sophisticated. Marketing has gotten too sophisticated. If you want to go up against a person that has all these tools, there needs to be a group of people that are all contributing to afford those tools. So I would go say team more than individual now more than ever, because there's just so many tools you're going to need.
John, I'd be curious your thoughts on this. I know that you're pretty heavily influenced. You're in tech. You're doing a lot of things. Your content creation is really strong. You just mentioned that. What would be your go-to tech tool if you could only pick one?
So if I had to just pick one thing, and I would be thinking about if I was going into a new market today, how could I generate 6 to 12 deals in 1 year? I would go all in, heavy-handed into YouTube. YouTube from a standpoint of generating business, but YouTube is also a cheating answer because there's so much information on there about learning from other people. How do you improve your open houses? What are other top agents doing? A video of this might end up on YouTube and you can learn and go from it. So being able to get information from it and then using that to go back and find other people that are looking for information in our field, I think it's one of the best places to be in.
I think that's interesting that you kind of expanded more than just using it as a prospecting tool, but saying it's a platform that I can use to sharpen my skills at the same time as generating opportunities.
Market's 30% down. We got to get 30% better. And there's only one way to get 30% better, and that's surround yourself with knowledge.
Love that. Nikki, curious what you think on this. What's a tool that you could not live without? Something that helps you day in and day out? Something that you've really found yourself relying on? It's a big part of your business.
It's a very basic answer. I use Follow Up Boss, and the reason that is because online leads are, like I said, 70% of my business. So with that, you need a long-term strategy as well as a short-term strategy, processes, procedures in place to make sure, I think Jason said 13 times you have to touch that person before they're even willing to talk to you. So with that being the main foundation of our business, sometimes we're getting leads come back to us 3-4 years later that never bought just because we have a 7-year drip that goes, right? So, and then I would say the other thing is Real Scout. It's really kind of made a surge here lately, but it's just a different way to send listings to your platform, to your leads, and it's really kind of intuitive, and your leads can talk to you through it. So, and they're all cheap. And Follow Up Boss and Real Scout, I think Real Scout's $40 a month, and it's way better than sending it out from Bright MLS.
Almost just sounds like managing the relationships is really what you've done well, and the tech that you need is whether it's managing the relationship for finding a home or managing the relationship on following up with converting a lead. Sounds like that's kind of what you're focusing on predominantly.
I think if you think about this in that term, that this is a relationship business and not transactional, and get that way with your leads, and they will come back to you. But you have to start that from the beginning. You are not there to sell them a house, right? You're there to educate them, to give them a foundation, to help them make really good decisions, and to care about them.
Sean, your business pillars are, again, a little bit unique. So are there any different tools out there or technology that you guys rely on that the average agent may not be aware of? Or,
I mean, a couple pieces, but I feel like the one that's really changed my life personally has been BombBomb. And the reason being is like, efficiency is my middle name. I don't like to be on the phone a long time. I want to be in and out. So the way that I've started incorporating videos, not only for touching the database, but like that's a very easy piece of it. And then the transactional milestones. But we underwrite a lot of deals. And when we are taking them to our top 5 buyers, whether it's a builder or an investor, I shoot a quick 10-minute video, run through all the comps, show them everything, show them the pro forma, send that out to our people. And I get emails and texts back just saying, hey, here's the number I can go to. Sounds good. And then we're writing offers and sending them out, as opposed to hopping on a 30-minute call, walking them through everything. You know, the old saying is what a picture says 1,000 words or something like that. And so then what's a video worth? Mm-hmm. And for me, that has saved me a ton of time. And then I tried it out for just a traditional client as well, right? Selling a house in Fairfax. And it was an older client, like my parents' age. Mm-hmm. So sent them the CMA via BombBomb and with my recommended list price, and they said, "Sounds good, let's do it." Didn't even have to have a conversation with them.
Well,
and
look at this guy.
so
like BombBomb.
Yeah. So to me that exactly. But it has changed.
You look like me. Come on, man.
You know. But anybody can embrace video, and it honestly kind of got me out of my comfort zone. But when I figured out how much time it actually saves me on a daily basis, and again, we used to do pop-bys and random quarterly calls, but I'd rather just text somebody a video. I can see how many times they watch it. They might hit me back 2 days later, and then I'm grabbing coffee with them. So it's just made my life way more efficient, and it still gets the point across that I'm here, I'm thinking about you, and it's personal.
I really like that. I listened to an agent one time talking, and they were talking about the difference between an incoming phone call and an outgoing phone call. An incoming phone call is 30 minutes to an hour because you don't control. It's it happens when it happens. You have no control over those circumstances. They have what they want to say. They're all amped up. But when you make an outbound call, you control that conversation. When you send a video, you communicate everything that you want to say in the way that you want to say it and in the most convenient amount of time. So that's a great insight. That's what I thought of. My friend Jen, what do you think?
So everybody in this room has one, and realtors act like they don't know how to use it. It's your phone, and it's making outbound phone calls. Does everyone know how to do that? Do we need to go through it? We are scared to call our clients. And whenever I ask agents why they're scared, they don't want to call their buyers because they're worried something's broke in the house. Has anybody ever had that thought? They're worried they're going to call their buyer, and the first thing the buyer is going to say is start going through the list of things that are broken in their house. If we make our calls with the intention of helping people rather than asking for referrals, we will come out ahead every single time. If you approach your lead generation that way, when you pick up your phone, instead of saying, I'm going to make 5 connections or, call 5 leads or whatever, if it's, I'm going to help 5 people or 10 people, then it makes it so much more natural and easy to do. And we should all be the resource that they're all looking for, right? So if you are not well connected, then join a team with a team leader who's well connected, and anything those clients need, you're going to be able to have at the snap of your fingers to help them. They're going to look at you as the hero, and they're going to start sending people to you. But we are so scared to do it. We don't take the time. We spend months looking for houses with people. Well, not me. I show like 2 houses. But a lot of us spend months helping people look at houses, and then it's like we forget about them. And they're probably sitting there thinking, wow, they acted like they cared so much during the transaction. They got the paycheck, and they have never called me since. And I think it's shameful. We should all go back through our transactions, which hopefully are all organized in your CRM, and it should be very easy to call up. Call your people, check on them, be curious about how they are, and you will see your business flourish.
That's awesome. So call to serve, not to sell. Love that. Awesome.
Ooh, got him one there. Been waiting all day to get that in.
See, I got a list. All right. So you guys are sitting up here. You're very successful. People respect you, admire you. That's why you're here. But I don't think you got here accidentally, and I don't think you got here alone, right? It takes a village. Who are your trusted industry partners that you rely on and that have helped you get where you are? Let's start with Sean.
Ooh.
Sorry, I dawdled.
I mean, honestly, I've had a lot of mentors over the years. Jay, I see you back there at Debbie's. Aside from that, I think our biggest thing is our contractor network. That has really been something that has helped us scale the investment side, but also bringing a huge value add to our clients, right? We have people that can take care of anything from building a new house to the landscapers or whatever they need. So I think that our contractor network is by far our personal biggest secret sauce, and continue to just try to build that out and grow it. But that for us has been our biggest piece to success, aside from the individual mentorships that we've had over the years.
I'm gonna carry this forward a little bit. I'm sure when you said contractor network, it went through my head. I'm sure it went through a lot of your heads. Contractors are a rare breed. They are difficult to pin down. They can be difficult to get to show up on time, price correctly. How do you keep those relationships strong while also managing the expectation of what you expect from them when they're serving your clients? What does that look like?
I mean, I think the biggest thing, honestly, is it's always a work in progress. We have a ton of attrition rate and we have our core people, but you find one contractor, it goes good for 2 years, and then all of a sudden they ghost or their pricing goes through the roof. So I think the biggest thing is just giving them opportunity and really making sure that they know they're part of the team and the family. It's like, hey, we will keep you busy and you don't need to go take outside work. So it really becomes a win-win. And then I think just being able to have contractors, like to your point, that are reliable, that are cost effective and can produce high quality work. That's a very rare breed. And it's been 18 years of us going through and cycling through people to find that. And we're continuously doing that. So I think it's just one of those things where when you really take a collaborative team approach and know that it's not just somebody that we're, hey, subbing out, like you are an extension of us and we are an extension of you. I think that's really the biggest piece.
Love it. Jen, you're a master networker. So I know that partners and people that have helped you get where you are, you've influenced a lot of other people. So who are those partners that are most important to you?
So I would say currently, and there's many people I could list over the years, starting with Donna Clayton Lloyd, my mentor in Fayetteville, North Carolina, who's an amazing woman, and I was so blessed to work with her when I first started for $10 an hour. She taught me everything that I know pretty much. But more recently, the network that I'm a part of through my company, a lot of the founders of that network are based in California. And I think that in Virginia, we're kind of old school still with how we do things, believe it or not. The real estate trends do not originate on the East Coast. The real estate trends originate on the West Coast. And so if you are just insulated from all of that and you are only Virginia, Maryland, DC as far as your influences, you are going to be the last in line to hear about all of the things that are on the horizon. The way that they're doing things is completely different on the West Coast than how we do things here. So I would say that you want to put yourself in a position where you're hearing from people doing 3, 4 times, 5 times as much business as you are, and on other coasts, and be the first person in this market to implement some of those things, and you're going to be way ahead of the curve. Otherwise, I think people are just going to be left behind.
Hear you. Casey, how about you?
So most important people that mentor us are, we call it reverse mentoring. So I've got 8 people on our team, and they're younger than I am. And I have certain knowledge base, and they have a certain knowledge base. So I learn as much from them, if not more from them, as they learn from me. So it's the combination of my old school, my pricing, my expertise, and what they, like Morgan will go to a listing appointment, and if Morgan says this house is getting painted, that house is getting painted, and it needs getting painted. And when it's over, it's gorgeous. So I do a lot of reverse mentoring, and I learn more from them than they learn from me. But I've got a lot of experience, but I'm 65. That house looks okay to me, but it doesn't look okay to a 30-something buyer, right? So they have the con, and they know the technology, and they know the social media. So they bring a ton to the table, and I think that's the differentiator for me than a lot of the older agents that are on their own. It looks fine to a 65-year-old, but it doesn't look fine to a 30-something. So, and their technology is not good, and the way they do things, and the way they get it out, and the way they use geofencing, and the way they use all this. I mean, you really have to learn from the young, and when a young person comes and says, I'm looking for somebody to work with somebody old. And when an old person comes to me, I'm looking for somebody, find somebody young. Because we all counterbalance each other. We all bring something to the table, and we put that cocktail together, and that's what we use to help the seller sell their house, or a buyer buy the house. So I think that's why teams are important. You put that cocktail together, and it's 10 times more powerful than just me walking into a house.
I think you just coined the phrase reverse mentoring. I've never heard that before. That was
Somebody
pretty
mark
cool.
it. Let me tag it.
I love it. Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody's already
Go ahead, file
trademarking
some
it.
paperwork real quick.
Got it.
Hey, John, I'm curious, your partners, who are the ones that influence the most, have helped you the most get where you are?
I would say if I had to narrow it down to somebody that's on my mind today, I've had the same business coach for my KW Maps days. And she had to fire me for a little while because we left KW at one point. And I had to, for months, beg her to take me back. And she had to get special permission and all that stuff to take me back on. But having someone that can be your coach, that can be your mentor, that can, lift you up when you need it most, but also knock you down when you think you're on top of the world, that's the person that's going to keep you level. And having that in my life has allowed me to really amplify in a bunch of different ways. Because what we constantly talk about is there's 3 balls that I'm always juggling, and I'm an awful juggler. The first one is business, the second one is friendships, and the other one is family. And making sure that all of those are up in the air and getting taken care of. And so we constantly rate ourselves about where we are in each of those categories. And if one of those is substantially lower, we got to flip the script. We've got to figure out what's going on in our lives and how we can bring it back to a center that makes the most sense, that fulfills us as people.
Love that. So, Nikki, that leaves you. Anyone who knows your business has been tracking it knows how much you do. And most of that's you, right? Almost all of it's you. So who are the people that are behind the scenes helping you? Who are those trusted partners that have supported you and maybe haven't come to the limelight yet?
I wouldn't so much say them that I think of right now yet, just because, I mean, of course I have a TC, I have a showing assistant, all those deals are mine. But when I got my license in 2017, I lived in Maryland. I had been to Virginia maybe like 3 times in my life. And they put me with a guy named Rob Chavez that you guys all probably know. And he made, I didn't know anything about real estate. He was like, hey, if you do this, I bet you can do that. And I was too naive to know any better. And I was like, well, if he says I can do it, then I must be able to do it. Little did I know that there's people that have been working 10, 15 years to try and do what we've done to this day. But he was like, hey, if you move to Reston, I bet you can take over Reston. And I was like, bet. All right, I'm moving to Reston. So I bought a little house. I couldn't afford much. I bought a little house in Reston. And then he was like, okay, now do this. And then I did that. And then I was like, well, I should do this for myself. So I left the team. And 3 years later, I was the top producing agent in Reston. So I would say find a mentor who makes you think that all these things are possible. Because if you just don't know any better and you think, hey, I really can do this, you bet your ass you can do it, right? Now I would say that my admin staff, I rely on them so heavy just to get me through the day. You wouldn't be able to write a contract and sell 150 houses a year by yourself without admin and showing support. So
That's outstanding. Love it. All right, so last kind of question kind of ties in with this, and some of you may have mentioned it already, but I'm curious. So many people look up to you all as role models. Who are your role models? So the name that comes to mind could be within the industry or outside the industry. And we'll just start down the line and we'll work our way this way. So John, who's your role model?
This is going to sound really cheesy. It's my dad. And he's not a real estate agent. He's a chemistry professor for a long, long time. In answering that question, one of the things I would think about is, who do I look at as the most happy person in the world? And he does a really good job of not only being happy with everything that's around him, but his sole mission and his sole purpose is to make everybody in the room feel like they're the most important person there. And I just love that. So, sorry.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
For me, it's my dad too. He is a retired Army colonel. Now he is a grandparent to 6 grandkids and takes care pretty much full time of a couple of them and never complains. He taught me when I was a kid, integrity is non-negotiable. I remember him saying that to me when I was like 8 years old, and I was probably like, what does that mean? And then it has just stuck with me my entire life, and I'm so grateful for him. We moved across the country so that I could live in the same neighborhood as my parents and see my dad every single day. I'll go visit them when we're done here. Don't forget to see your parents. You know, I knew I didn't want to live across the country from them, so we moved here back to be by them. They love you, they want to see you, and I want to spend as much time with him as possible.
We're gonna have to clip this out and send you those videos so you can give it to your dads. That'd be pretty special.
Mine's a football coach. Mine's Bill McGregor from DeMatha High School, DeMatha Catholic. He's a great man, and I mean every word out of his mouth you hold on to, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. It'll change all your life. Change my life. So I heard that this guy, who is the greatest football coach, he flipped the coin at the Super Bowl. He was high school coach of the year. He puts people in college all the time. He's a great guy. So anyways, I heard that he went up to Cumberland, Maryland to watch a single-A football team play this defense. And that he drove all the way up there to watch that. And I went, nah, not single A. That's Bill McGregor. That's the best football coach in the country. So I called him up and said, can I come over and talk to you? And I walked in and I said, is that true? Did you do that? And the next words out of his mouth changed my whole life. He said, Coach, you can't believe how gracious he was with his time. And I started sweating. I was like, oh my God, I'm the biggest asshole of all time. Because I think I know everything. We'd won 50 games in a row. I know everything. I don't have to ask anybody questions. And here's the greatest coach of all time. Drove all the way over there to ask a single-A coach, and not only did he do it, but he's humbled at the fact that the guy would give him so much of his time. And he would show him how to do it. And I realized that I'm just awful. I'm an awful person. And I immediately started learning from everybody I get my hands on, but sometimes I think when you're young, you think you know everything and you really don't. And if that guy can learn from people that are, a lower grade, whatever, out wherever he is, then we all can. So when my kids talk, when the people on my team talk, man, I listen to everybody. And we spend 15% of our time on education, which is stuff like this, listening to great people, listening to great agents, just picking up nuggets of information that we can use. Don't think you know everything. You always pick up nuggets, and that makes your cocktail even stronger and better. And hopefully it's got some smoke on it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, does anybody know if there's a bar in this place? I'm making myself thirsty.
We got a happy hour at 4 o'clock. Everyone got 2 drink tickets. Let's go. All right, Sean, who's your role model?
By the way, man, you wear 65 very well. So
Thanks, baby.
Honestly, I feel like I compartmentalize a lot. So I have different role models in different aspects, for sure, from spiritual, physical, all type of stuff, health. But when it comes to business, we have a new role model now that we just hired as a coach. His name's James Daynard. He's very involved with Bigger Pockets. He owns his own team and brokerage out of Seattle, Washington, which is a very, very similar price point market to us. And they do 500 units a year, and 90% of their units are builder and investor driven. So what I've learned is they have not figured out a way to capitalize on those listings and get a lot more than 10% from it. But just kind of seeing that and going out there and seeing their operation. And I think one of the biggest pieces that I learned from him is, he used to be a traditional agent as well, which we are, but focus on what you really want, and a life by design, not by default, which is a Gary Keller line, where you can get pulled in every different direction, but what really brings you joy, what makes you get out of bed, and what do you have a passion for, and do that. And so he, in the business aspect, is certainly our role model and kind of who we're trying to emulate and learn from. So very excited about that.
What's his name one more time?
James Daynard.
James Daynard.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks. How about you, Nikki? Who's your role model?
For me, it's my dad. I know that's another answer, but my dad came to this country when he was like 18, I believe, and he always tells me, he said, I jumped ship in Duluth, Minnesota with $2 in my pocket, and someone bought me a bus ticket to New York City. And my dad retired a multimillionaire as a house painter, right? And he learned how to be profitable, run a business. English was his 4th language, but he did it all with hustle and grit and hard work, and he gave up everything just to keep working so we would have a better life. So that's my role model.
That's awesome. That's inspiring to me. I love all you guys as role models. Outstanding. All right, so for our next question, I'm always curious about this. You see agents, a lot of times they'll get up there and they'll win awards, and you see their name, and then 4 or 5 years later, have no idea where they are. So getting to the top is one thing. Staying at the top, which all of you have done, is very challenging. What's your secret? How do you stay there?
Well, every team that we have every year, like the 2024 team, has got to kick the tail of the 2023 team. We've got to reinvent it. We got to be better, faster, stronger, smarter, quicker. There are always things that team, I guarantee it, 2023 would have whipped 2022's ass if they walked in at a listing presentation. So every year you got to reinvent who you are, and that means bringing in new blood and new people and learning from them and making everything better and finding nuggets and improving the whole thing. So I think it's just every year you have to reinvent yourself, and you have to be better than you were the year before. That's it.
Love that. We'll go Jen.
I just switched my answer from what I was going to say. I would say you need to make sure you're getting in bigger rooms. So every single time that I've made a company change, it's because, if you're constantly seeing your name up in the top 3, it's time for a bigger room. You're not learning anymore. And so I think that if you're, a big fish in a small pond and you're happy with that, okay, but is your business really going to grow? So I think that we need to be surrounding ourselves with people doing, way more business than we are. And it humbles you, and it makes you thirsty to learn. And that's really the key to staying on top, in my opinion.
Nikki, you got on top pretty quick, and you stayed there and just continued to make gains.
It's every night after I finish my workday, it's learning more, right? Learning more about how to perfect the systems and processes we have in place, learning more about the craft. I mean, the other day I was the listing agent. I did a deal with a buyer's agent who'd only sold 2 houses. And he sent me something and I was like, oh, that's not the right way. And he was like, oh, but it is. And he was right. He caught me on a contract that I didn't know in and out like I should. And hats off to him. I was so proud of him because I was like, I mean, he just really bit my ass. But so I would say just kind of, you think you know everything. You get to a certain point. I never think I know everything. I'm always like, I am not the smartest person in any room. But I tell you, if you just keep perfecting the things that are tried and true that work, I can't reinvent myself every year. I'm a solo agent. This is me. But I can take what's working and then figure out how to magnify it and make it better and better and better.
John, you guys have been crushing for years. What's the secret?
Well, this year is going to be a little bit different for me for 2024. So I just got my business plan done for 2024 and starting to concentrate on it. And 2023 for me was a year of challenging myself and pushing myself to spots I never imagined I could be in, like on the stage up here with all these amazing people. And I know that I can do all that. And I love going at night and looking on YouTube and challenging myself to learn new things going on. Where I really need to be so I can be the best for my team, for my wife, for my dog, for everybody involved it's going to be a wellness thing for me in 2024. And that's physical. I'm the chubbiest I've been in a long time. I know it. I'm working on it. But also, most importantly, mentally. I think mental health is something that we need to be more exasperational. That's not a word. We need to be more on top of it and talking about it more. So like, as I'm looking at this year, and this was a hard year, guys. Even if you were even lucky enough to be close to the transactions the year before, the transactions you were working on were tooth and nail fighting hard, and they really drug us through the mud. So figuring out a way to make sure that I can do everything I can to be happy and to bring myself and have the energy I need to pour into everyone that's involved in my life is where my plan is.
Sean, how about you guys?
Yeah, I would say two-pronged to kind of piggyback off of everybody, right? Staying learning-based. Somebody once said that readers are leaders and learners are earners, and that really kind of stuck with me. And I think that kind of knowing that you don't know everything and that we are in an industry that is constantly evolving, kind of staying top of mind on that and being able to be nimble and agile to where you can pivot when markets do shift to take advantage of whatever the market of the moment is. That, and then I think even as important as that is the people you surround yourself with and that you team up with. Having like-minded, aligned people that are working towards a common goal and that are good people. Integrity is really important to me. So I think having people that we know, hey, we're rowing and we're going this way together and everybody's going to pull their own weight, like rising tide lifts all ships. And I think that that's something that is super important. Like we wouldn't be here without our team. So it's nice to be on the stage, but ultimately I want to be able to provide opportunities for everybody so they can achieve the lives that they want. And vice versa. Like, we are able to get the lives that we want as well because everyone's achieving their goals. But I think the people that you partner with has everything to do with success.
Can I just piggyback on this real quick? So I'm not being paid to say this. I don't make anything off Samson Properties, but I'm just going to say, like in our company, and I don't know what it's like in the other companies, but in our company, all of our team leaders, we all start feeding off each other. Like they'll sit in on my huddle meetings. I'll sit in on their huddle meetings. Nobody's got walls up. Everybody's learning from themselves. I mean, Ian does an incredible huddle in the morning and we pick off things from his and he picks off things from ours. So, I mean, the teams in our company, when you talk about mentors and big rooms and having people you can learn from, I mean, we're sitting in on $185 million teams listening to how they do a huddle in the morning, for God's sakes. They just let us right in and we let them in ours. So it's just learning from everybody. And that's what companies are all about. In your company, you should be learning from people that are doing more business than you're doing. And that's kind of the culture of what Danny started and Donnie and Bobby and all these guys are doing. So, I mean, it's internal. You can get these things.
Yeah, I think a big thing that I heard kind of uniformly across the board is the best spend time with the best, right? That's what they're doing. They're always looking for the next best. Who's better than me that I can learn from? And you never have the ego. You're never the person walk in and you're not the smartest person in the room, because you're always trying to figure out from the smartest person in the room what you need to do next. So that's awesome. I love hearing that. All right, so we got 2 more questions. I want to just remind everybody that if you want to submit a question, we do have a few minutes at the end. The text number is up here. You can send that text message, and we'll try to get as many of those in as we can before our next segment. But let's start at the end here, and then we're going to start with Nikki, and we'll work our way back, and then we have our last question, and we'll come back this way. So Nikki, one piece of advice, all right? You can only give one piece of advice. Someone's coming to you. They're like, Nikki, my business isn't where I want it to be. What do I do?
That's a broad question. Your business isn't where you want it to be.
And you can only pick one thing.
Get your processes and procedures down. That's it. Something in place that's going to take your lead from the time that you get it to 10 years after you close it. That's it.
Process, systems. That's it. I like it.
I would say market knowledge. Get out there and learn the market. Walk homes, get an idea of what's going on, be the market expert, the local economist of choice. With technology, everybody can look on Zillow and Redfin. But if you really want to be that professional, what is going to differentiate you from the other people? Market knowledge is something that's really big for me. If I was dropped in Austin, Texas, I would go preview every home and I would hold open houses.
Nice.
What was the question again? I'm old.
One piece of advice. You have to distill it all down, all those years of being a top agent, and what are you giving them?
Got it. Take your weakness and turn it into your strength. If you're weak at pricing, or you're weak at marketing, or you're weak at something, you either team up with somebody that's great at it, or you work your ass off to make sure that you're better at that than anybody else. So turn your weakness into your strength all the time, no matter what you're doing. And then, and that's what makes you bigger, faster, stronger.
I would say that especially going into, having gone through almost all of 2023 and then 2024, which, by all predictions is going to be a challenging year. I would say work on your energy level. And that's something that I've been paying a lot of attention to personally over the last couple of months. And my team is so sick of hearing me say this, but your energy dictates your income. When you think of the most successful people in your life, I was at a conference last month and I'm sitting there and I'm watching all these speakers and panelists over the course of 3 days. And the one thing they all had in common was their energy level. They were jumping across the stage. I mean, it was amazing. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, they're successful. Look at them. Look at their energy level. Look at their health, their vitality, their positivity. How can I get more of that? And I think that this business is hard. It can beat you down. And if everybody would take some steps to increase your energy level, whether it be whatever you need to do, starting to get in the gym, weightlifting is where it's at, especially ladies out there. I'm telling you, it will make the hugest difference. I'm like getting choked up talking about it. It has made the biggest difference in my life. If you need to quit drinking, if you need to drink more water, if you need to get some sunshine every once in a while, if you need to revamp your eating habits, if you need to go to bed earlier, get up earlier, whatever it is that you need to do, increasing your energy level, you will see exponential difference in your business, your relationships with your kids, your spouse, your friends. You will feel better about yourself, and it's all going to project out for clients. Because what are clients looking for right now? They're looking for someone who's confident. They are looking for somebody who they can trust when you are giving advice. And so if you don't have that confidence, you can know what you're talking about. You can have the market knowledge and know what you're talking about. But if you don't truly have that it factor in terms of that confidence, energy, positivity that you are radiating out to the people you are around, you are not going to attract the amount of people that you're going to need to attract to be successful in the coming years with as competitive as it is.
Thank you, Jen.
I would say if you're struggling, you just need to get back to basics, and that is to go to your sphere of influence. Or for me, at least, that's what I would do. You were mentioning people are afraid to call their past clients. I would go back and call my clients from every single year, and not to check up on them, but to see how they're doing and to add value to their lives and see what you can do. And in some cases, probably apologizing for disappearing and like being truthful and being like, hey, listen, it's been busy. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about you. I was just driving past your place, or I was driving past that coffee shop we met up on, and I was thinking about you. And all of a sudden, that person's going to either turn around and give you a referral or maybe just grab coffee with you. I think it's getting back and getting face-to-face with people that are in your sphere.
I think to piggyback on that, agents who are struggling, they're not holding themselves accountable. They're not holding themselves accountable to lead gen like a calendar invite 9 to 11 every morning. They're not holding themselves accountable to all the back to basic things that we do every day to keep us here.
100% agree.
All right, so our last question here, and I'll be honest, I said I would not moderate this panel if I couldn't ask this question, and you guys all agreed, so thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Our last question, we'll start with you, John. We'll work our way this way. What unpopular opinion do you have about our industry?
I don't think enough people actually care about their clients. I think that there's just working transactions and having conversations with people that feels like they're just trying to get a transaction done and not necessarily focusing on what's the best interest for their clients is more common than I would have suspected it to be before I was in real estate.
See that? So focusing more on making a commission than what's right for the client?
Always client first. Is this the best thing for them? And if you don't think it is, letting them know that you don't think it's the best idea. And if they still want to make a decision at that point, they can make the decision. But you put it out there and you let them know where you stood and why you felt that way and letting it go from there. Too many people will just let a transaction happen, let them buy a dumpy house, let them do something wrong just because it seems like that's what they wanted to do. But you are their advisor.
Awesome. Jen?
So to me, it is the myth of flexibility. So when you ask agents, why did you get into the business? What attracted you to it? Most people, besides income potential, are going to say flexibility. And I think that is like a curse that we put on ourselves because we're just not doing enough work. It's like people have so many errands they're running constantly, figure out a way to pare that down a little bit. I think that we all need to time block a little bit better. I remember when my kids were in preschool, they went to a morning preschool, and I was in the parking lot at 9:20 because 9:20 was the earliest that you could drop your kid off. If any of the moms been here, right? You're like, okay, 9:20, we're allowed to drop the kid off. So you drop them off. I'd run and get in my car, race down to my office, and I had 2 hours and 30 minutes to get my work done. And I worked like a maniac, but all I did was work during that time, so that when I then went and picked my kid up, I could be present with my child. I think we half-ass work and we half-ass our family all the time, and we think we're winning, right? You think you're winning because you're sitting watching your kid at the soccer game and you're looking at your phone and you're working, and guess what happens when your kid scores a goal? They look up and you're looking at your phone. Doesn't that break your heart? Don't be that way. Do your work when it's time to work. And when it's time to be with your family, take your phone and go and put it in a freaking drawer. Woo. It is heartbreaking that our children are constantly seeing us working when we are supposed to be with them. Makes me want to cry. It really does. And like I said, we think we're winning. We think that that is success. Wow, I've made it. I can go on vacation whenever I want to. You're working the entire time and your family sees it. And that is the memory that they are going to have of you. So you need to get your business in order, get some leverage, and be able to take a couple of days off where you're not working the entire time. Be present with your kids. They are going to be gone. My daughter is turning 16. I'm taking her to New York City this weekend. I'll turn my phone on about every 3 hours, right? I want to be with her. I don't want it to be a constant memory of mom was working, right? So I think that we think, wow, I'm in such a flexible industry. This is great. We need to make it less flexible. Work when you're supposed to work, play when you're supposed to play.
Are you guys all working for her? Because she's getting claps on every one of her answers.
I am hiring.
I mean, are you hiring? Are you giving them money buying beer for these guys or what?
She's
tickets
also
from
my
her
friend.
for your beer today. Clap. No. And first of all, John, you don't
can
need
have
to
my
lose
tickets.
anything.
I'm doing 75
You look
hard.
great
I'm not
just
drinking.
the way you are, John. So don't you change. All right. What's the question again? No, I'm just kidding.
Unpopular opinion.
No, look. So here's what I think. I think a lot of realtors put what's best for them ahead of what's best for the seller. So I agree with you, John. I'll come in, I'll price a house $1.4 million. Seller wants $2 million. $2 million. I'm like, this is crazy. I got to go. So a realtor will come along and put it on for 1.75. Then he'll open houses every week for 4 months. Best interest of the seller, best interest of the agent, right? So I think that we are really passionate about being honest and telling people what's in their best interest and what they need to do. And it may not be popular to tell them your house is worth $100,000 less than you think it is, but I'm going to show you that it's worth $100,000 less than you think it is. And we're going to get this thing sold, and we're going to sell it in the first 96 hours because that's when you're going to get the best offers, best deals, multiple contracts, less contingencies. So I just think that I think that you just got to be honest with the seller, not let them get away, not put it on. And a lot of people say, just get a sign in the yard, take the sign calls, take the open house business. That is not what's in the best interest of that seller. What's in the best interest of the seller is market it right, price it right, get this thing done, get it done quick when you're going to get the highest price, best terms, and a lot of times they go, oh, you're just giving away. No, you're not giving away houses. If you get multiple contracts, they bid that thing up, they're going to bid it up to the number it should be, even higher than it should be. So I just don't think realtors should just stick a sign in the yard and let it sit on there and just get rot. That is not in the best interest of the seller. It's in the best interest of the seller. Do it right, get it done, get it sold.
I'm telling you guys beer.
All right. Sean, what's your hot take?
Yeah, I'd say two real quick. One, don't confuse production with profit, right? I think real estate is a smoke and mirrors game. You see a lot of people up here, hey, I did 100 million, I did 200 million, come to find out their profit margin's 5%. We're in this to run a business and treat it that way. And I think that's something that really is, I've been in a lot of those meetings and it's like people are just really touting themselves and, pumping their chest. And it's like, you did a lot of work, but you didn't make a lot of money. So is that really worth it? And secondly, just since we do flip and build a lot of homes, we do live in an HGTV time frame. It's not a 30-minute flip. People want to get into real estate and do real estate investing, and I think it's a lot more involved. It tends to take longer, cost more than you would imagine. So I think those are two unpopular things that people, kind of don't really.
So investing's harder than people think?
It's a full-time job. Yes,
Gotcha.
It is a full-time job.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. All right, Nikki, what do you think?
I'm going to preface this answer with when you floated this question to me on the phone, you said it was supposed to be funny.
Please, I would prefer it to be funny.
Yes.
Yes, you got to close this out.
I made one TikTok my entire life, and it went viral because when realtors make their entire personality about being a real estate agent, it's too much for me. I can't do it. I can't do the shirt, the license plate, the car, the incessant social media. I can't talk about it 24/7. It's a whole mood, right? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's my hot take.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Do we have time for some questions?
We do, and we have a ton of questions from the
my
audience.
goodness.
So let's start out with some specific questions that audience members have. Let's start with Jennifer Mack. Based on your research, who are you targeting now? Who in your business model is your target client types?
So I came up with about 10 groups, and I didn't bring them on my paper like I should have. But so I came up with about 10 groups when I was brainstorming and also asking other people who was buying and selling. And you listed some of them. So obviously death, divorce. I've done more estate work this year. Tons of grandparents relocating to be closer to grandchildren. So when people complain about parents coming to the home inspection, I love it. They are my new client. I am right over there with the parents talking to them, and I cannot tell you how many of them ended up doing transactions with me. So the grandparents don't really care about the interest rates, right? Investors don't, some of them care about the interest rates. Most of them do, but some of them don't. So that's a great, person to talk to. Corporate relocation. Again, the death, the divorce. I wish I had my list. I don't have a good memory anymore, but I can send it to anybody that wants it. So I just made this list of all these groups, and that's who I am lead generating for, is clients that are in those categories.
I literally just chuckled because I had a picture of Jen at a home inspection just schmoozing up next to the parent and being like, so how's your health? You know, just doing a couple questions, just checking the room. It's awesome.
Yeah, asking what their blood pressure is.
Yeah, exactly. How you doing? What's your medication like daily? Gotcha.
Great. And coming next, John, first I would like to thank you for the new word that I can now use, exasperational. I'm going to add that
I
to
forgot
my
what it
repertoire.
was already. That's amazing.
Yes. Well, I had to too. I had to look at my notes. I wrote it down. So, John, walk me through your process for making a property walkthrough video on Instagram and TikTok. How much research do you do before you are doing it, and how much time and what tools are you using for editing?
That is a fully loaded question.
It is such a loaded question.
That's a very good question. So I should make a YouTube on it. So I spend more time than you'd expect picking the property that I'm actually going to go shoot. But usually it has to have something special about it, or someone's asked me to do it. I have a lot of agents and sellers now reaching out to me to ask if I would come shoot their property. So picking I should batch them. I don't batch my content, but only on weekends I do that. So I am usually in and out of the property within 15 minutes. I use an iPhone. I put it at 0.5, like we all talked about earlier, and I record everything in 4K, 60 frames per second, and then I put it into CapCut, and I edit it all right in there, and then I post it to Instagram. I didn't plan on this becoming part of my lead gen, and I finally get to call it part of my lead gen. It used to just be something weird and fun that John's doing. But I would say I spend about 15 hours per week doing it. So it better count for something. It's about 2.5 hours per video, from driving time, picking the property, editing, putting a caption, making a thumbnail, and putting it up.
Casey,
Yes.
an all-important question. What is your cocktail of choice?
Smoky Manhattan, Jack on the Rocks. I got a million of them.
That's great. When you've got to have a conversation with a seller about reducing that price, what are the important points that you're hitting so that you do not get fired?
Right. So it's already predetermined. So when we come in, we do that test in the coming soon period. And so all the information I have is based on the coming soon data that I'm getting in, and the Google, all the land analytics and the showing times. So before we launch, we should have that thing lined up and ready to go, and let's get some contracts going. So we do that prior to, and then if it doesn't sell right away, like this market is a little more difficult, then you've got a 30-day process where you've got triggers throughout that every week you've got a trigger. So when we have that conversation, like now are starting to have, it's time. It's 30 days because the market has already discounted your house. So if you're at $800,000, they already know it's not worth $800,000. Any contract that comes in is coming in at $750,000. So we need to beat them to the $750,000. Let's drop it to $750,000, get a whole new buyer pool, repopulate all of the information on social media, and let's relaunch at $750,000. Then we might generate contracts, which we do, generate contracts that push it back up towards the $800,000. So that work is done prior to launch of listing, and then everything is scheduled that if we don't get it, in the first week we do this, in the second week we get that, third week we do this, fourth week we drop the price. So we don't have to have that conversation.
Nikki, why haven't you addressed or embraced the team concept, and do you ever see yourself doing so?
I don't like to babysit people, so I think my mic went out. I'm not warm and fuzzy. I'm not going to nurture you and coddle you. That's just not who I am. My kid is back there. She's my partner agent, so that's the only person that could deal with me. She just graduated college in May and got her real estate license, but she knows my kind of crazy. So I just, and I like selling houses. I don't want to sit in an office somewhere. I like going to $200,000 shitty condos and selling them like that. That's fun for me. It's not fun for me to manage people.
Sean, how do you take a chance to broaden your contractor network? Where are you finding good, qualified people?
That's a great question. And honestly, we've gone to Home Depot and talked to folks. We've gone to other job sites. One thing that we are starting to do is the different production builders in the area. We have found that if we go stop by around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when most of the project managers are gone, the guys that are still working there at 4 o'clock tend to be good, have cost-effective pricing, and are hardworking. So that's has been really good for us. I will say that we have tried people out and we've lost money on them because you give them a draw and then they end up bouncing on you and not finishing the work. So it's definitely a trial and error, but those have been two of our biggest sources is Home Depot, different production builder home sites, and I would say just from our own internal database, right? We really hit up our database to find out, hey, who have you guys worked with? You know, what electricians, plumbers, handymen do you guys have? And we have found that to be a good resource as well.
Awesome. As a solo agent, what do you recommend? Start a team, continue to grind it out.
Is that for Nikki?
That's for everyone.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think I said I'm going to continue to grind it out. I'm going to be showing houses when I'm like 95 with a walker. That's going to be me.
I would honestly say do what's best for you. I don't think there's a right answer here. You know, we wanted to be able to focus on what we enjoy and not handle every aspect of the transaction and the business marketing, running signs, transaction coordination. So I'm a big proponent of building a team and then finding people and players that have a specific role that they want to do and are better than you at that role, and let them do their thing so you can go do your thing. I think if everybody within the organization operates in their top 20%, the sky's the limit.
I think there's 3 places you can be. You can be in the jet stream. The jet stream is where there's clients and contracts and deals and dinners and meeting people and where your energy is high. And then you have the mainstream. And the mainstream is when all the work is done that you have to do, you know, the tasks that you would give to an administrative person. And then there's the mud. And sometimes you get caught in the mud and there's just no way out of the mud. So what we try and do is, I think it's a team concept, because the salespeople should be in the jet stream, should not get into the mainstream and not get into the mud. They need to be in the jet stream. That's where the deals are. That's where you make your money is. That's where your energy is. And when you get trapped in the mud, there's no way you can get back and start prospecting and calling and talking to people. That's the jet stream. So my whole goal is keep the agents in the jet stream, keep the staff in the mainstream, and nobody gets stuck in the mud. So that's our theory.
I mean, I think that
I love this stuff.
So I think that the beautiful thing about our industry is that there truly is a place for everyone. And we have some amazing solo agents in this area that do a great job and seemingly love it all. I mean, I see them in pictures, you know, staging houses on Sunday mornings and, you know, just, they're doing everything, right? And usually they cap out at about 30 to 35, you know, transactions, something like that. They are working really, really, really hard. Some of them fortunate to have great, you know, showing agents and things like that. That help. I think that for a lot of people who are not good at everything, I think that joining a team can be a really great solution, especially if you're looking for some work-life balance. You know, my top agent, Caroline, she's been with me over 6 years, went on our honeymoon this year. I got people under contract for her. I personally showed the houses for her. She knew that she could leave and shut it down, and I had her back. And for some agents, that's really important to them. And for other agents, they're kind of just super control freaks, do not want to let go. They know that about themselves. I think that that's something that can be fixed. And then there's agents who they know they're horrible at the admin side, horrible at the paperwork. There's agents horrible at the marketing side. There's agents horrible at the lead generation. So there truly is a place for everyone. I do think that teams are the model of the future, I guess, if you want to call it that way, just because things are getting so much more complex, so much savvier. And I think that, you know, it's really hard for an individual agent to stay on top of all of those things and still maybe earn the type of living that they want to earn. But there are definitely anomalies and people who kill it, and I could name 20 of them right now who I really respect, but not everyone's like that.
Yeah, I found one.
Yeah, Nikki's definitely one of them. Yeah. But when she wants to join a team, she knows she's going to call me.
All right, John.
John, your thoughts?
I would not be able to do the single agent thing, and I would have fallen on my face and never gotten anywhere. I needed to jump in with a mentor that was somebody that I could look up to, that was willing to answer my questions nonstop to make sure that I was the best agent possible. And I firmly believe that I just did not have the tenacity that you have in order to just do it on my own. And I think that there's something to be said about it is important for someone coming into this business to have some type of mentorship when they're coming in so they can succeed. And whether it's on a brokerage level, whether that's on a single one agent level, that kind of dedication and support is a pivotal piece of whether or not you're going to succeed in this business.
All right, last question because we are running out of time. John, we'll start with you. How do you decompress?
I used to say drinking, but I really don't do that anymore. My favorite thing is I like watching football. Me and Casey were talking shop in the back there. I'm not much of a Commanders fan, but I love college. I love college football. And so I love just taking time, putting on my red zone on one TV and watching the game on the other one and just having a good time with my wife and my dog, taking in some football.
So for me, it is definitely live music. A lot of you know I'm a huge live music fan. I would go to like 4 concerts a week if I could. And I was actually telling the story earlier in the green room. My husband and I we do very different things. He has zero interest in real estate. I have zero interest in what he does. Our kids are kind of the only thing we had in common. And you know, we've been married together 26 years, married 21 years. And we, you know, you kind of can start growing apart after a certain amount of time. And I thought, you know what, we need to find something that we have in common, that we can do together that has nothing to do with our kids. And if you don't have that with your spouse, I would really encourage you to try to figure out what that is. And for us, it was, it's bluegrass music. So, and we kind of expanded a little bit past bluegrass, some bluegrass rock and stuff like that. But we love the exact same type of music, and we travel to go to shows together. We go downtown to concerts together all the time. And that is our thing, because you know what? The kids are going to be out of the house at some point, and you got to look at each other and still like each other, be excited about each other. You got to go on date nights. You need to hire babysitters. I swear to God, people do not want to hire babysitters for some reason. It is the best thing that you can do is have a deep, deep roster of the best babysitters you can find. Your spouse wants to spend time with you alone. You may think that they don't, but they do. And people do not go on date nights. People are always like, you guys are so good about going on your date nights. I'm like, no, you're bad at it. You know, do it on at least, I would say at least once a month is fine. If that's all you can do once a month, or maybe once a week, but work on your marriage like you work on your business. Have something in common. And for us, it's going to shows. Love it.
You like Billy Strings?
Yes, he's amazing.
Billy Strings is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Decompress. I'm a workaholic, and if everybody left me alone, I would just work all day until it was time to take a nap, and then I get up and go out to dinner. But somebody will always go, hey, man, tea time, Thursday, 11 o'clock, you in or out? It's like, I'm in. Always in. I can move anything. I can move heart surgery if I've got a tea time. So decompression, tea time, a few pops. Yes, Jack helps at night, calm you down. But going out to dinner, I just think that, you know, in my town of Vienna, we just go out and see a lot of people and meet a lot of people. And they're always, well, Morgan and I were at Bonaratti's, and sure enough, couple next to us, hey, Casey, how are you? And $1.85 million listing. So going out doesn't hurt, and getting seen doesn't hurt. And talking, they always have that, how's the market? I was thinking about, yeah, put the martini on hold. I'll be back in 1 minute. And it's on. So decompress, go out to dinner with my wife, try and reconnect, and meet clients, I guess. Yeah.
I would say, obviously, relationships is my number one priority. First and foremost, Bethany, my wife, we typically walk 3 to 5 miles a day where we just kind of unplug. Sometimes she will let me take calls, but sometimes the phone stays at the house. But it's just like our time to kind of just center ourselves and, talk about life and what's going on. Huge sports fan. So football, this is my time of year. My production tends to drop by about 20, 25%. And honestly, I feel like I truly am a real estate nerd. So like when Bethany is working night shift, saving babies at the hospital, I'm watching a movie and I'm running comps on about 10 homes. And like that is decompressing for me. So, yep.
For me, it's college football too. I don't know if that's decompression though, but because I'm an LSU fan, so it kind of hurts. But you will not catch me dead on an appointment on a Saturday afternoon, ever. Not in the fall. But I watch TikTok nonstop for like 3 hours at a time in bed till like 2 o'clock in the morning, just scrolling. It's the best, right?
Dude.
Yeah. Going
3 a.m.
out and talking to more people after my day sounds like a painful, painful thing.
Thank you so much, everybody. A big round of applause for our panelists and Richard, our moderator.